What is going on, ladies and gentlemen? My name is Tim, and in this video, I'm going to be breaking down some of the questions and things that you need to know prior to joining Lincoln Heritage, right? So you probably clicked on this video because either you are at Lincoln Heritage or you're thinking about joining Lincoln Heritage, or maybe you just joined Lincoln Heritage. And basically what I'm going to kind of do is break down some of the positive things that Lincoln Heritage does, as well, on the flip side, some of the negative things that they do, and some of the biggest things that I have seen from working with agents that have worked at Lincoln Heritage, some of their kind of like struggles or concerns that they have. So let's dive right into this. This will kind of give you like an idea of what it'll be like to work at Lincoln Heritage and just some of the things you need to know prior to joining. So the first thing I want to talk about, and this is obviously one of the most important things whenever you're joining an agency, is the commission level, right? So this is something whoever is recruiting you or your upline, you really want to ask about what is your commission level, and then how do you get it raised, right? So like, what is your starting out commission whenever you join, and then what are the things you need to do to raise it, right? Those are some of the most important things that you can ask, and I would highly recommend diving deep into that with your upline or your recruiter. Then also asking about what the max commission is. What is the most that you can reach and max out at the comp plan there, right? And then what is your commission per product, right? So for like a guaranteed issue product versus like a standard issue product, your commission is usually going to differ based off of those, right? Now, this is something that pretty much goes for every agency, but this next thing we're going to talk about is specific to Lincoln Heritage, and that is you are a captive agent, right? So I'll tell you guys a little bit of a story. When I first got into the business, I was selling insurance face-to-face across North Carolina. So I would knock on people's doors, go into their house, and basically sell them insurance. So I was a broker. I had a bunch of different options. So I had Mutual of Omaha, American Amicable, Royal Neighbors, all of these different carriers. It was like my suite of products that I could sell people. Now that, in my opinion, and not even opinion, just fact, that gave me a big advantage over Lincoln Heritage agents, because what I would often do is go into a house, and then if they already had insurance, I would say, hey, all I need to do is just take a look at your policy. I can tell you if you can either get more coverage or get a lower rate, right? And so the reason I tell you that is because one of my favorite policies to run into was actually a Lincoln Heritage policy. Now, why on earth would that be my favorite, you may be asking? Well, it's because they're the easiest to replace. Lincoln Heritage tends to be one of the most expensive products on the market, and also the 2-year wait thing was sometimes an issue, but more so just the fact that it was just so ridiculously expensive compared to everything else. So if I ever came across a Lincoln Heritage policy, boom, I open that thing up. All of a sudden I see this rate, it's $100 a month for $10,000 in coverage, and they're like 50 years old. Okay, easy replacement. Like, that's cash in my pocket all day long. So from a broker's perspective, I love coming across Lincoln Heritage policies because they're so expensive and they're easy to replace. And I'm not even talking like, because most of the time you can replace a policy if it's like, a few months or maybe a couple years old. I'm talking policies that were like 5 or 10 years old. 5 years later, I was still coming back and beating the rate that they got 5-10 years ago, which is insane, right? So I say all of that to tell you, like, if you're selling Lincoln Heritage products, which is what you would do as a Lincoln Heritage agent, because that's all you can sell, it's going to be a lot easier for people to replace your business that are brokers and that have more options, right? Myself and my agency included. That's what we do all day, is replace Lincoln Heritage because it's easy to replace, right? So that's definitely a major con in my eyes. It's a lot easier to replace your business, and you're not always going to be offering the best rates to your customers. You're going to be selling them a product that's very expensive. So it's going to be harder to sell because, most of these people are shopping rates. They compare different quotes. And why would they go with you if your product is, 30-40% higher than everyone else's? Like, it's a tough gig. The pro of that, the good thing is you only have to learn one carrier. So you don't have to balance, 10 different insurance companies to try to learn them all. All you do is you just sell Lincoln Heritage and sell that all day. So for me, if I were to be a Lincoln Heritage agent, personally, when I sell, I like to fully believe in the product. And if I know that I'm not actually giving them the best rate, me personally, I would struggle. For some people, it works great. For some people, it makes perfect sense. But for me, the fact that I'm a captive agent and I can only sell Lincoln, and it's not usually the best option for people, that would make it much harder for me to succeed at Lincoln, right? So do your own due diligence, decide if if that's a fit for you or if it's not. But definitely something to consider, right? Another thing, Lincoln Heritage still is primarily face-to-face. So there's some agencies in Lincoln that do telesales. One of the biggest YouTube channels about life insurance is a Lincoln Heritage agency that does telesales. But most of the agency is still going to be face-to-face. So something to consider there. The next thing is training. And I will say this is a major pro for Lincoln from what I've seen. From my experience talking to people that work there, the training is great. And it kind of has to be because you're selling a more expensive product, so you have to really be able to sell it. But their training is very in-depth. They offer a lot of support, a lot of training on that end. But obviously, it's going to depend on like your sub-agency, right? Because at the end of the day, Lincoln Heritage is like this big company, and they're a carrier. But there's a bunch of like sub-agencies. And based off of the sub-agency that you're in, your experience could be entirely different from somebody else in a different sub-agency. So the training that you get is going to depend on who is your upline, right? And so this is something you really want to like do the sniff test on from agency to agency, like who are you actually joining and what type of training are they going to be offering, right? Is it going to be like video training? Are they going to train you one-on-one? Will they give you support if you're in the middle of an application? Like at our agency, we literally are in a Zoom room. So if someone's having trouble with like an e-signature, they can get help from other agents, right? And that's something I think is really important. So definitely something to ask about. Are you going to be able to get support if you're in the middle of an app? The lead program, right? What type of leads are you going to be working? I know Lincoln Heritage does a lot of direct mail. Are you going to be paying for leads? Are you going to be buying? Are you going to be working age leads or new leads? Like, what does this actually look like? And then also, if you're paying for leads, what is the cost per lead? It's something you really want to ask about and take into consideration, because if you're selling a product that's harder to sell and you're buying leads, you can get in a tough situation very quickly if you don't know what you're doing. All right, so lead program, make sure to ask about this. This is like probably the most important thing other than the actual product that you're selling. Now, upline, right? Who's going to be your upline? This is kind of what I was talking about a little earlier with the training. Lincoln Heritage, well, like being at Lincoln Heritage, is one thing, but the agency that you're actually on is really more important than which company you're at, to be honest with you. All right, like what is their experience with selling? How many policies have they sold? Are they successful selling Lincoln Heritage products? These are things you need to ask about. How involved are they going to be training you, right? Are they going to, give you a pep talk one time a week and then send you off to the wolves? Or are they going to be like behind your shoulder helping you out and helping you sell policies, right? The next thing to ask about is recruiting, right? So there's basically two main paths that you can kind of go on when you join this industry. One is like the production side and one is like the team building side. And so if you just want to sell and help people, you really need to ask, like, are you going to be pushed towards recruiting at Lincoln Heritage? But it would obviously depend on your agency. Or are you going to be pushed more towards production, right? And I think the best is kind of like a blend of both, where you have that opportunity for leadership and then also, most people are selling in the company. I think Lincoln Heritage is pretty good about not being like super MLM-y from my experience. They're definitely like very production and product based, which I think is good. So that's definitely a pro, I would say, is like they allow you to do both, but they're focused on production, right? Release, right? So this is something that's very important. If you decide to leave Lincoln Heritage, this is a good thing. So it's kind of low risk to go and join there. You can leave and get other carriers because you're only contracting with one carrier. So it's not like they can hold your contracts or lock you out of the business. You can leave and then immediately go and get other carriers, which I think is a big plus. So very helpful with these captive agencies. If you decide it's not a good fit for you, you can leave and then all of a sudden you have other carriers. You can go do something different. Right? So that's a big plus in my eyes. Now, the biggest issues that I've seen with Lincoln agents is just the product is expensive. This is what I hear from people. Like they just don't feel good about selling a product that they know is not the best one that their customers could get. So that's kind of been like a big thing. And a lot of people will be like, oh, well, the whole like funeral discount thing where you get discounts on the funeral. Yeah, that's great. But at the end of the day, like the product is just still way higher price than other things, which is why I personally would rather be a broker than a captive agent. And then chargebacks and replacements. And this is kind of a byproduct of selling something that's more expensive. If you are if you're selling to people that are on a fixed income and you're selling them a product that is more expensive than other products, you're going to get a lot of chargebacks and you're going to get a lot of replacements. and that's just something to consider, right? So overall, to kind of summarize, I think Lincoln Heritage has a lot of pros. They have great training. You know, a lot of good. Like they're a very big company, so they obviously know what they're doing. For me personally, I prefer to always like have my customers' best interests at heart, and so I would not want to be put in a position where I have to sell one product and just push that product. I want to be able to offer them an array of products and be able to give them, you know, different things to see what's the best fit for them. So that's me personally. Maybe Lincoln Heritage is a great fit for you. Maybe it's not. If it's not and you want to look at other options, our agency, we offer free leads, you know, daily one-on-one mentorship and training. So we're really investing deep into our agents. We're on a mission to build a, you know, very large agency, like similar to the size of a company like Lincoln Heritage. We're in the early stages of that. And so we're looking for agents to bring on and help mentor and help us grow to our goals and help them reach their goals. So again, we do like free leads, a bunch of training, all kinds of stuff like that. And if you want to learn more about it, click the link down below in the description. There's like a 30-minute video that goes deep into our whole mission and how our whole agency works. So if you want to learn more about that, the link is in the description. But either way, if you decide to join Lincoln Heritage, best of luck. If you don't decide to join Lincoln Heritage, best of luck as well. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. Leave a like, hit the subscribe button for more, and I will see you guys in the next one. Take care. Peace.